93b on the top, 4 lines from the top. Tzadik Gimel Amud Beis. We've been discussing the concept of Misayaya, which basically means if a person has the capability of performing this forbidden act, Zeh Yachal, it's called, this one's able. And then there's someone that assists him, but he's Eina Yachal. He's not able to perform the act on his own. So is he counted in any way? Is it considered like this assistant is doing anything, or is he just nothing? So we brought proofs from all different places, and now we're holding Amar Ravashi. It's 4 lines from the top on 93b. Amar Ravashi says, this was also taught in the Mishnah. Rabbi Eliezer Reimer, Rabbi Eliezer says, Raglei Achas ala Eily, Raglei Achas ala Ritzvah. We're talking about a Kayan. A Kayan, his feet are supposed to be on the ground in the Azara. Let's say 1 foot is on the ground. However, 1 foot is on a vessel. Raglei Achas ala Ev and Raglei Achas ala Ritzvah. Let's say the same story, just it's not on a vessel, it's on a rock. So 1 foot is not where it belongs, and 1 foot is on the ground. And he's doing the service. So Ryan, Kolshili, not la Keli, but not 11, Yachulam, al Raglei Achas avidasik sheir. You have to view it like this. Let's say we remove the vessel, or we remove the stone. Would he be able to remain standing? So if he'd be able to remain standing, so it means that 1 foot that's on the ground is the Zeh Yachal, is the one that's able, and the other one that's on the utensil is the Zeh Yachal. It's like just an assistant that's not necessary. So if that's the case, so then avidasik sheira. And the fact that that's there doesn't harm the fact that he has 1 foot on the utensil. Doesn't harm the fact that that he's doing a service with him who's 1 foot on the ground. However, if he can't stand on the 1 foot that's on the ground, then it's puzzle. We're asks 1 second. Fact is, 1 foot is in the wrong location. 1 foot is helping the other foot, and it's in the wrong location. Marianne says, it must be that if it's not necessary, it doesn't do anything. That's what we've been proving here the whole time, that Misayayim by Mamish. So, we'll see, it gets interesting. We'll see. Omar Ravina says, Afanan Namitanina. We have another Mishnah also regarding the service in the Beis Hamikdash. It says, Kibel biyamin v'smol mesayate. Receiving the blood in the utensil that's used in the Beis Hamikdash, you're supposed to use the right hand. So you use the right hand, but the left hand was supporting the right hand. It says avidasik sheira. It's still a good service because the right hand was there. The Gemara asks, but the left hand is assisting. Must be because this assistance is considered like nothing. All of this goes along with this opinion of Chizda. When we asked, if one person was able to carry the load because he was a strong fellow, the person that was helping him was a weak fellow, but the strong fellow could have carried the whole thing on his own, we said that he's chayiv. We said, who's chayiv? So the one that could carry it on his own. All of this is proving that the assistant that is not necessary doesn't take away from the chiyuv of the one that's able to do it, and he's also not chayiv. Mesayayim b'mamish. Okay. Amar Mar, the master taught. Zeh yachol v'zeh yachol Rav Meir mechayiv. If this one's able to do the malacha, and the other person that's doing it together with him is able to do the malacha. So we have 2 people doing a malacha together, but each of them were able to do it on their own. talking about, let's say, carrying outside on Shabbos. So what they're carrying is something that each one could have carried on their own. It's a bottle of water, let's say. You can carry it on your own. So two people are carrying it. So Rabbi Yehuda held that that's pater. It's called Shnaim Shasu. Two people did it as pater. Rabbi Meir says chayiv. We're looking for a case where two people are doing a malacha and you're chayiv. So we chose the case where Rabbi Meir's shita holds that even if each one was able to do it on their own, then chayiv. Tosfos doesn't. He quotes that it could be that the Gersa is incorrect here. And we have another case of chayiv as well. And that is, even according to Rabbi Yehuda, if two people carry a load that each one individually wouldn't have been able to carry, then over there they're chayiv as well. Could have chosen that case as well for the following Gemara that we're about to discuss. Okay, whatever the case is, two people do an act and both of them are chayiv. Either it's Reb Meir Shita, that's very machmer, even if each one was able to do it on their own, or it's Rabbi Yehuda Shita, that they needed each other to be able to do it. Whatever the case is, chayiv. Question goes like this: Yibayilahum. Ve'inan shir lezeh b'shir lezeh, aydel mashir echad lekulam. Very interesting question. Whenever we say two people are chayiv, do we need to have the measurement, a significant measurement for each person? Let's say to carry on Shabbos, it needs to be a gregors the size of a fig. Does each person need to have the size of a fig? Or maybe that's why we chose Reb Meir, the size of a fig, everyone can carry it, and nevertheless chayiv. Or is one measurement enough? And then they'll still be chayiv. In other words, do I need a measurement to associate individually with each person? Or does the collection, the joined together act has one shear that would make them both chayiv? I look at the act. The act is a significant act. That's the shaila here. Very interesting question. So it's a machlekes Rav Chisda and Rav Hamnuna. By the way, the last Gemara was also machlekes Rav Chisda and Rav Hamnuna. About Messiah. Now we have about the shear. Here's the Rav Hamnuna. Chadam shear lezeh b'shir lezeh. One of them doesn't tell us who. One says a shear for each one. Chadam shear echad l'kulam. And one says that one shear is good enough. One significant size in the act is good enough to make them both people chayiv. Amrav Papa Mishmei Derava. Afanana mitanina. We have a source for this from the Mishnah. We're going to go back over those Mishnayos that we quoted before, discussing Messiah. It says like this. Hayayeshiv al gabi mita v'arbatal yestachas abaragli hamita tmeis. We had a case of a zav, someone that was tamei, that is sitting on a bed, and so the bed should become tamei. Underneath the bed were cloths underneath the legs of the bed. Now, we said that because a bed can't stand on three legs, bed needs four legs. So therefore, each of those cloths is a real support for the bed. And so therefore, all of those cloths become tamei. We said this was in contrast to any animal that can stand on three legs with the cloths underneath. And we said that each leg was just a support because it was just an assistant, and then was all mixed up. Which one is the assistant? We said that over there it was going to be tar. But by a bed, we said that each of those was going to be tamei, because they're all necessary for the support of this the zav. So the Gemara asks, 1 second, how many zavim were on this bed? There was only one zav. So I don't have a shear lezeh, a shear lezeh. I don't have a zav per leg. It says v'amai. Why is it al tamei? The boy shear ziva lezeh, a shear ziva lezeh. According to the opinion that says I need a shear for each person that doesn't act, according to him, I should have a zav per leg. I should have 4 zavim here to make these cloths tamei. Lav mishum tamrin and shear echad lekulam. Must be, I don't need an individual shear per item. It's enough that the tumah is there. Then everyone, all of those legs could become tamei from one zav. Okay. Of the comparison is perfect, but that's what the Gemara is saying here. Let's see another one. Reb Nachman bar Yitzchak, Afanan Namitinin. Reb Nachman bar Yitzchak has another support. It says like this. Support from the Mishnah. Tzvi shenichnas labayas. The deer entered into the house. And v'no lachad b'fanav. One person closes the door. So chayiv. He's chayiv because he trapped on Shabbos. We're talking about where that's considered trapping because it's a small room and that's considered trapped. No lushnayim. If 2 people close the door, then it's p'turim, then they're exempt. Why? Because one person can close the door on his own. So 2 people closing the door is, according to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, is shnayim shasu p'turim. If each one was capable on his own and they did it together, then they're exempt. That's Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. So this Mishnah is going with Rabbi Yehuda. However, lo yachal echad lenal. Let's say it was a type of door that one person couldn't close. V'no lushnayim. And they both closed the door, then it's chayav. And Rabbi Yehuda holds that if each one individually wasn't able to do it, that they need each other's energy to be able to get this done, so then they're chayav. I'm going to ask 1 second, how many deer were there? Why are they both chayav? They both closed this heavy door that requires 2 people. Granted, they both did. They're both involved in the act of trapping on Shabbos. But how many animals did they trap? They only trapped 1 animal. So if you need a shear for each one, I can't divide up 1 animal and say that each one has a shear. He trapped the leg, he trapped the other leg. No, there's 1 animal that got trapped. If I need a shear for each one, I would need 2 animals in there. It doesn't say that. Obviously, you don't need a shear for each one. You just need a shear in the act, in the accomplishment. There needs to be 1 animal that got trapped. Then even if 2 people were involved in it, so this will be chayiv. Second proof that you only need 1 shear for 2 people. Amar Ravina. Ravina says this one. It's an interesting case. Let's see. Ravina says, this is also taught in the Mishnah. It says, Ashutrim shegonvu. If partners stole. It's not talking about they stole from each other. That's that's what you're expecting to hear. These 2 people stole from a third party. The tavchu. And they stole an animal, then they went and they slaughtered the animal. Now the rule is that if they steal, they have to pay double. If they slaughter it, and sell it, then they have to pay 4 or 5 times, depending on if it's an ox or a sheep. So they slaughtered it. I don't know how 2 people slaughtered it. 2 sides to the knife. I don't know. Chayavim. They're obligated to pay. Both of them are obligated to pay the fine of 4 or 5 times. V'amai, why? They only slaughtered 1 animal. If you say that the obligation is only created if each one would have his own shear, you don't have each one having his own shear. It was only 1 slaughtering that was done. Lav misham damrinan shear echad lekulam. It must mean that I don't need each one to have a shear, a measurement. a significant amount. Each one that's involved in one act that has the measurement would be mechayev each one. It's very interesting that the Gemara uses a monetary fine together with these other discussions of Shabbos. The place can bring from this a common issue. It comes up in Dini Mamanas. A lot of times you have two people that are involved in one crime. When it comes to the judgment, one of them has money and one of them doesn't. So you put they both are obligated to pay. So each one should pay half. But let's say, which is very common, let's say one of them doesn't have the means to pay. The other one has the means to pay. Does the one that has the means to pay have a full obligation to pay for the whole thing? But really they just split it because there's two of them there. But if the other one's not paying, then the full obligation goes on him. Does each one have a full obligation? That's the question. Does each one have a full obligation? Does each one have half an obligation? From this Gemara, it could come out that each one has a full obligation. Each one did a full act. They would split it because they only have to pay once. But if one isn't paying, the other one would have to pay. This is not like that case where two people, one owns an ox and one owns a bar, and the ox quarters another ox and it falls into a bar. Over there's a machlekes about it. Who to collect the money from? The guy that pushed him in or the guy that owns the pit? That's a different story. Over here, they're both involved in the same act. And does each one have the full obligation or not? And here it seems that each one has a full obligation. Yeah, they complain a lot about this. So just because I happen to have an inheritance, I have to pay now. I did the same thing that he did. Okay. Amar Rav Ashi. Rav Ashi says, Afanan Namitanina. This was also taught in a Mishnah. We'll see. Shnayim shahitziu kanashal gardi. Two people that took out a reed that's used by the weaver. It's a light reed. One person can carry it. Two people carried it out. And they're chayavim. They're chayav. This must be the opinion of Reb Meir. Must be the opinion of Reb Meir. Was this in our Mishnah? No. So one second. They only took one reed of the weaver. So why are they both chayiv? There's only one shear for two people. It must be that you only need one measurement. You have another proof. One measurement, that in other words, it needs to be a significant act, but it doesn't need to be a shear for each one. The Gemara says, one second, that's not a perfect proof, because Ravacha, the son of Rabbi, says to Rav Ashi, maybe there is a shear for both. If I would burn this wood, this reed, I'd be able to cook 2 eggs. That means an egg for each one. See, we had a shear if there was a reed that wasn't used for, it wasn't able to be used as a quill. So we said, what's the shear? If you would burn it, you'd be able to cook a chicken egg. So it could be here that even though it's a reed that's used by a weaver, but maybe if I would burn it, I could cook 2 eggs. So there's a shear for each one. Where it says, then that's obviously not what the Mishnah means. Because then you could have said a reed. Why are you telling me a reed of a weaver? Reed of a weaver must mean that it's this reed that you're chayiv even if you're not going to cook. You're not going to burn this and use it as energy. Where it says, maybe there's enough on this reed because this string, the thread is on it, to weave a cloth for this one, and to weave a cloth for that one. Okay, so don't use this as a support. We had other supports before, but this one we could drop. Now the Gemara says, Tani Tana Kameder of Nachman. There was a Tana that taught in front of Rav Nachman. Now, a Tana in the Gemara doesn't mean one of the Tanoim. Usually we divide up the authors of the Mishnah are Tanoim, the authors of the Gemara we call Amoraim. But in the times of Amoraim, they had people that were called Tana. And they were the people that memorized all the Mishnayos and Brises, and they would teach it in front of the sage. Comparable to a library today in the university. So every yeshiva had one person that memorized all of those things, and that was like the librarian. He would say his teaching that he had from memory, and Rav Nachman the sage would comment. So the Tana taught in front of Rav Nachman. Two people carry a reed that's used by the weaver, they're exempt. Reb Shimon Machayev, and Reb Shimon says Chayev. So 1 second. Shimon, our Mishnah, was the most lenient. He held whenever two people do something, they're exempt. It says klapilaya. Klapilaya is an expression that means like turn it around. It's inside out. Elaima chayav and Reb Shimon pater. Say it different. Say that they're chayav. Reb Shimon says it's pater. So we adjust this brisa to fit with the way that we understood from the Mishnah as well. Now, we've been saying that this reed, two people carry it, they're chayav. I'm assuming that it's going with the opinion of Reb Meir, that if two people do something that one person was able to do on his own, each was able to do on his own, he's still chayav. But they're just carrying the reed. Unless there's something I don't know about this reed, and it could go according to the opinion of Rabbi Huda if it's very heavy and only it takes two people to carry it. Okay, now we have a new Mishnah. We've quoted part of this Mishnah previously. It says, someone carries food on Shabbos. So food has a certain measurement, what's considered significant. Usually it's the size of a dried fig. Carry less than that, you're exempt. So here he's carrying less than the size of a dried fig, and he's using a utensil. Should be chayav just for carrying the utensil, forget about the food. Right? I guess the Industrial Revolution should change this. But let's do it. Let's go, what's more valuable, the food or the utensil? But what the Mishnah says is that you're exempt. You're exempt for the utensil. You didn't carry enough food, but you carried a full utensil. You're exempt for the utensil, just like you're exempt for the food. Why? Because the utensil is nullified to the food, even though you don't have a lot of food there. What's the point of the utensil? The whole point of the utensil is just to carry the food, and the food isn't enough. So you're totally exempt on Shabbos. Okay, you'll see another example of this. It becomes clear. As a chai b'mita, someone carries a live person on a bed. Carries a person on a bed. So he's pater afalamita. He's exempt for carrying the live person. We have a rule: chai noisi asatzma. A live person carries himself, and so if the live person carries himself, you're exempt for carrying the live person. The bed, which if there was no person on the bed, you'd be chayav for carrying the bed. Now that there's a person on the bed, you're exempt for the bed as well. Exempt for the bed because the bed is nullified to the live person that you're pater for. So the bed doesn't have any significance. Okay, why are you really chayav for carrying a live person? So some say that the live person sort of holds himself up. It's the opposite of dead weight. It sort of like assists in the carrying. So you're not really carrying. Chai nesias atzmai, that's the expression. It could be comparable to ze yachal. Would be ze yachal if the live person can carry himself, the person that's carrying him. So ze yachal. Maybe that's what it is. Ze yachal, we said two people that do an act is exempt. Maybe that's what it's comparable to. Some Mepharshim say that. I believe that Tosfos holds a little differently. Tosfos says that it's just an abnormal act to carry a live person. And so therefore you're exempt. Why is it abnormal? Because a live person can do the walking. What if he's ill? Yeah, I don't know if that's going to fit 100%. Okay, now we go on. A live person on a bed is exempt for the bed as well. As a meis b'mita. Let's say a person is dead. It's carrying him out on a stretcher or whatever on the bed. Then he's chayiv. And anything else that's tamei. If it's a olive size of a corpse, olive size of a carcass of an animal, or the size of a bean of a sheretz is chayiv. All of those carrying is chayiv. And Reb Shimon exempts. Reb Shimon holds that it's a malacha shein tzrich legufa. Malacha shein tzrich legufa is what's the purpose of carrying? It's to get something from point A to point B if you need it in point B. But over here, you really just want to get rid of it from the house. And you really have no purpose in it getting over there. Because what are you going to do with it? There's no purpose in it being there. And you're going to say, well, maybe you need to bury it. But the purpose of burying is also not necessarily a malacha shein. It's also not necessary for you. Necessary for it, but not necessary for you. Could be exempt as well. Okay. Umar says, someone carries food, a significant size, in bekeli, if it's in a utensil. So then, chayav ala eichlin upater ala keli. He's chayav for the food, but he's exempt for the utensil. Why? Because the utensil is batal, is nullified to the food that he's carrying. But if the utensil is necessary to carry the food, I think what it means really is not the utensil is necessary to carry the food. What he means to say is that if he needs the utensil for some other purpose, other than for this food, so then chayav afal keli, then he's chayav for both. He's carrying out the utensil just to hold this food, then he's exempt on the utensil. But if he needs the utensil also, happens to be, piles the food into the utensil and carries it out, needs the utensil also for other things, when he gets outside, so then he's chayav for the utensil also. Now, what's the chiyuv here? If there were Eidim and Asra and he's doing it b'mezid, then there's a death penalty. You can't get a death penalty twice. So, otherwise, if it's b'mezid, then it's kares. Okay. Then it's a carbon chatas. He didn't realize that he wasn't allowed to carry on Shabbos. Or maybe this wasn't carrying. He didn't realize something. So now he's chayiv twice. It sounds like he's chayiv two karbanos. Mar says, 1 second. There's a problem here, an inherent problem with this case. Shma mina. This is going to tell us, we're going to see from here, that we have this Gemara before. If someone eats forbidden fat, kazayas of forbidden fat, he has to bring a korban chatas. Let's say he eats 2 kazasim of forbidden fat, but it's all in one forgetting. It's only 1 korban chatas. So what are you telling me? He's chayiv, he carried on Shabbos. You can tell me, well, he carried a food and he carried it. It's all one carrying. It's all one act. The forbidden act of carrying was performed in one forgetting. You say he had this, he carried this, and he carried that, and it's all one carrying. If he eats another kazayas of chaylev, another kazayas of chaylev. It's the same chaylev. It's not a different sin. It's the same chaylev. He's only chayiv one karban. Why by carrying food with a utensil is it going to be chayiv twice? It contradicts everything we know about the way shogeg works. Rav Sheshis gives this answer. Says here we're dealing with a special case. Why is he chayiv? Because the act was done in two different ways. He knew what he was doing, that he was carrying the utensil. He didn't realize that that it was forbidden to carry the food. I don't know exactly how that is. It's not like he didn't know the food was there. That would have been maybe misasik or something else. He had to have known that he's doing the act. He just didn't know that the act was forbidden. So he knew that the Eily was forbidden to carry on Shabbos, and he did it anyway. The food he thought would be allowed to carry. Maybe he had some interesting.
Once he was carrying the Eily, he figured the food is a free ride.
That's interesting. Could be the pshat.
Excellent.
Could be the pshat. He thought it was mutter. So, what's going on over here? We say chayiv. Rashi says chayiv misa. It could mean either like Rashi, chayiv misa, or it could mean that, look, there's two different chiyuvim here. There's a chiyuv for the Eily, which would be kares or misa, right? And there's a chiyuv for the food, which would be a karban chatas. So that's how it's possible to understand this Gemara. Maskif le Rav Ashi. Rav Ashi has a question. The wording doesn't fit. But afal Eily ktani doesn't say chayiv lazel b'lazel. It says he's chayiv also. The word also means that he's chayiv the same thing. According to Rav Sheshis, the wording doesn't fit. Elam Rav Ashi has a pshat. It says Gemara doesn't even bother explaining this. Thus, we're expected to know this because we learned it a month ago. They learned faster than the dafing, so they learned it more recently. But approximately a month ago, we had a machlekes between Rabbi and Rish Lakish. If there's awareness of the sin in between the two acts, if someone eats a kazayas of chaylev, he realizes he ate a kazayas of chaylev. Then he realizes it was forbidden. Then he eats another one, then he's chayiv twice. Rabbi and Rish Lakish argue about if someone eats a kazayas of chaylev, then he eats another kazayas of chaylev. Then he realizes that the first one that he ate was chaylev. So I have to bring a karban. I guess he separates a karban or something. Then he says, and the second one I ate was also chaylev. Rabbi Yochanan says that he needs another karban because his first designation was his first awareness. Even though the act was done with one forgetting, but his awareness later required, because that was divided up, that requires two karbanos. Rish Lakish says no. How are we going to do this over here? To be chayiv twice, once on the Eily and once on the food. We'll say like Rabbi Yochanan. We'll say that he realized that he did it in two stages. Oh yeah, I carried the Eily. Oh, and there was food in it also. Oh yeah, I carried the food. And then he has to bring two karbanos. Rashi tells us interesting that Rav Ashi that doesn't accept Rav Sheshis' opinion over here. He would hold like Rabbi Yochanan that says that awareness in two stages is chayav two karbanos. And Rav Sheshis that doesn't want to say like that. He wants to say that one is on the one is because he did it on b'shogeg. The other one is because he did it b'mezid. The Eily was b'mezid because he holds that two awarenesses doesn't make a chayiv twice. He holds like Rish Lakish. So he puts the two together. Okay. Asachai b'mita, pater afal b'mita. if there is a living person in the bed, so he's exempt for carrying the living person, of course, and he's also exempt for the bed. When it says, Lema masnisin Rab Nasan hi v'lei Rabbanan. The Gemara does this. The Gemara is like sort of asking a question. Like, is it really that our Mishnah is just this one opinion, the opinion of Rab Nasan, and not the opinion of the Rabbanan? Is this really the case? I'm going to quote a machlekes now between Rab Nasan and the Rabbanan regarding carrying living things, where Rab Nasan says you're exempt, and the Rabbanan say that you're chayiv. And so our Mishnah that says if he carries a living person on a bed, sounds like it only goes like Rab Nasan. And then the Gemara is going to say, no, actually, maybe that was a little different. The Tanya was taught in a brisa. If someone carries an animal, a wild animal, or a bird into the public area, bein chayim, bein shchutin is chayiv. You see where we're headed already with this. Whether it's alive or dead, you're chayiv. Well, living beings, right? Animals. Carries it into Rosh Hashanah, is chayiv. Reb Nasan Aimer ala shchutim chayiv ala chayim pater. Shachayim is yisatz. Reb Nasan says no. If these animals were slaughtered, so then he's chayiv, because they're dead. But if these animals are alive, then he's exempt. Chayim is yisatz. Our Mishnah, we said if you carry a person on a bed, if he's alive, then he's exempt. Sounds like Reb Nasan's opinion. A living person carries himself. If he's dead, then he's chayiv. He's chayiv for carrying, because he carried something dead. But seems like it doesn't fit with the Rabbanan. Amar Rava says it's not necessarily so. Because the Mishnah is talking about a human being. The brisa that you quoted is talking about an animal. Afilu Tamer Rabbanan. Our Mishnah could be the opinion of the Rabbanan as well, that say that if you carry a living animal, you're chayav. Our Mishnah is different. It's talking about carrying a living person. Ad kan pligi Rabbanan led Rab Nasan. When did the Rabbanan argue with Rab Nasan? That's talking about an animal, a wild animal or a bird. Because they're struggling to get away. They're pushing themselves down when they're being carried. But a living person that he's assisting in the carrying, it depends on the scenario, but Gemara is assuming that the scenario is he's happy about being carried out. So he's assisting in the carrying. So then even the Rabbanan would agree that he's exempt, like he's making himself lighter. Somehow. By Rabbi Lazar Bar Shimon, at least in the storybooks, I didn't see this in the Gemara, but it says that when he was young, he didn't study Torah. Then Eily comes dressed like an old man. He says, I need a wagon, I need a driver to drive me somewhere. So he says, why do you need, I can carry you anywhere where you want to go. So he puts him on his shoulders and starts walking. He's carrying him. He was very strong. Finally, this old man makes himself very, very heavy where Rabbi Lazar Bar Shimon can't carry him. He says, old man, if you don't make yourself lighter, I'm going to throw you off. Apparently, when a person can make himself heavier or lighter when he's being carried, then they sat down, they put him down, and they told him he should study Torah. And it was the beginning of his rabbinic. Okay. So it could be that the Rabbanan would agree by a human being that he's exempt. Amalei Ravada Barava L'Rava. Ravada Barava says it's not so simple what you're saying. To say that the Rabbanan are making a distinction between animals and human beings, it's not so simple. Because what you're saying comes out, the whole machlekes between Rabbanan and Reb Nasan is only regarding animals. Bahadatinan is a problem. We have a Mishnah that ben Beseira Mater Besus. There's a problem with selling animals to a non-Jew. The problem has to do with you may sell him a working animal, that the sale may not be final, different issues, and you may end up selling it right before Shabbos, and you may end up working with your animal on Shabbos. Complicated issue, but there's a problem with selling working animals to a non-Jew. However, Ben Beseir is mater b'sus. Ben Beseir says you can sell a non-Jew a horse. Because what type of work does a horse do anyway? You just ride it. It doesn't plow. That's a cow is used for plowing. The horse is just for riding. What's the malach of riding? It's all a derabanan. You may take a branch or something. It's not going to be a derais anyway. So therefore, you're allowed to sell a horse to a non-Jew. Vitanya, starting in the brisa. Then b'seir mater b'sus. Because a horse does a malacha that you're not chayav a chatas for. It's not a real deraisa. Rabbi Yochanan comments on this. Ben Beseira v'Rab Nassan amru davar echad. Ben Beseira and Rab Nassan have the same opinion. Why is it not a real malacha if a horse carries? Because it's carrying a person. Carrying a person, according to Rab Nassan, this is what Rabbi Yochanan says, is not a real malacha. So it's not that Rab Nassan was talking about animals. Rab Nassan was talking about people as well. If he puts together Ben Beseira that a horse doesn't do a real malacha, together with Rab Nassan, must mean that the opinion of Rab Nassan is that carrying a human being is not a real malacha, because a living person carries himself. Together with that, selling the animal to a non-Jew, the animal isn't going to be doing a real malacha, even if the sale, for whatever reason, wasn't valid, but it won't be doing a real malacha, because now, if you're correct, this was Rava. If Rava is correct in saying that the whole machlokes Rab Nassan in the Rabbanan was only about an animal, but regarding a human being, even the Rabbanan held that a chai nesias atzmai. So why did Rabbi Yochanan say that Ben Beseira and Rab Nassan say the same thing? Ben Beseir says the same thing as the Rabbanan and Rab Nassan. Because even the Rabbanan agree that a human being carries himself. It's only the animal that there's a machlokes, because the animal pushes himself down, just trying to get out of it. And that's why the Rabbanan say that it's not. But if it's human being, everyone would agree. If that's the pshat. If there really is no machlokes, Rab Nassan and the Rabbanan, then Rabbi Yochanan's comment that Ben Beseira and Rab Nassan said the same thing, it should have been Ben Beseira and the Rabbanan say the same thing, and Rab Nassan say the same thing, that a human being carries himself. Ma'yer Ben Beseira v'Rab Nassan v'amret afilu Rabbanan ma'yer. Even the Rabbanan agree. Gemara gives a very interesting answer. It says that when Ben Beseira is selling the horse, it says that it's acceptable. It wasn't a horse that carried a human being. It's a type of horse that carries a bird. Rabbi Yochanan was talking about a horse that carries a bird. A horse that carries a bird, according to the Rabbanan, that's carrying. According to Rab Nassan, that's not carrying. See? Ben Beseira and Rab Nassan say the same thing. Gemara says, 1 second. Is there such a thing? A horse that's made special to carry birds? Gemara says in Ika, Debei V'Yadin. Or on the bottom it says Debei Zayden. Apparently, this is a falcon that's used for hunting, and it goes on the back of the horse. And it's a special relationship they had, I guess, that this horse carries this falcon, and it goes out to do its hunting, comes back and brings whatever prey it gets. So there is a horse that's made for carrying this bird, and according to Rab Nassan, it's not considered carrying. And that's what Rabbi Yochanan meant. Ben Beseir and Rab Nassan said the same thing. Rabbi Yochanan. Yochanan says, "Meider Rab Nassan bekapes." Nassan would agree that the person would be chayiv if it's tied up, whether it's a human or an animal or a bird. If it's tied, then it doesn't carry himself. He can't walk, right? Amalei Ravada bar Masna Labaya. 1 second. Really? What's going on over here? If it's tied up, then all of a sudden comes chayev for carrying a living person or an animal. Vahani parsoi, the command of kafisidami. I'm asked the question. What about these Persian riders? They're probably similar to knights. The knights were English or European, but they carried a lot of armor. They wore a lot of armor that they couldn't even walk. So that's like they're tied up. So if they're tied up, then their horse is carrying someone that's tied up. It's a problem. They can't really, the person that's on them can't really walk. Rabbi Yochanan nevertheless says, Ben Beseir says you're allowed to carry a horse. Ben Beseir says you're allowed to sell a horse to a non-Jew because the horse isn't really carrying anything that would be chayav because it's just a human being. 1 second. Persians on these horses can't even walk. If Reb Nassan really holds them, when it's tied up, he's chayav, then there's a problem there. Umar says, no, those knights, they could really walk. They don't walk just because they're arrogant. I guess they feel cool in that armor. They're not going to walk around. They look cool on the horse. They don't get down and walk around. They sit on the horse, and it's their arrogance that's keeping them up there. I'll prove it to you. There was this officer. The Ratach Malki Lavei, the king was upset with him. He had to run. So he ran three parsais by foot with all the armor on. See, they have no problem. If they need to, they could run with the armor. It was just, you don't never see them doing this because they look cool up there. Okay. Gemara now says, "Es ameis b'mitah chayev, chen kazayis ben ameis." We said over here that if the person carries a dead person on Shabbos, carries him out of the house, or if it's a kazayis of a dead person, which would also be giving off tumah, or a kazayis of a carcass of an animal, which would also give off tumah through touching. So then all of those is chayev, and Reb Shimon said that he's pater. Amar Rabba bar Bar Chana, Rabbi Yochanan. Rabba bar Bar Chana says the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Amar Rabbi Yosef, Amar Reb Shimon ben Lakish. Rabbi Yosef says the name of Reb Shimon ben Lakish. How did Yosef get to Reb Shimon ben Lakish? I don't know. Paiter haya Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon would say that he's exempt. I'm on top of Tzadik Dalet Amud Beis. After Moitzias Ameis L'Koyve. You see, originally we understood, why does Reb Shimon say pater? Because what we need to do is you need to take each malacha, look at the function of that malacha. What's the purpose of that malacha? So, purpose of grinding is to make larger things smaller so that they can be used. Even when we came to the purpose of extinguishing a candle, what's extinguishing on Shabbos is? What do you gain by extinguishing? There's no constructive usage of extinguishing a fire. Lighting a fire, you have a fire, you can now cook. What do you gain by? He said, no, you're making coal. So there's a constructive purpose in each malach. You have to look at what the purpose of each malach is. And you're only chayiv if you did it for that purpose. What's the purpose of carrying? Because you need an item in a certain area, so you carry it out in that area. If someone carries something that's tamei into Rosh Hashanah, he doesn't need the item in the Rosh Hashanah. He needs tumah in Rosh Hashanah. He doesn't want the tumah in his house. So it's not considered a malacha that's shricha legufa, that's necessary for its own act. So I could have thought that where Reb Shimon says that you're exempt, if you carry, this is Reb Shimon's opinion that holds in Malacha Tzricha L'Gufa. I could have thought that if you carry a corpse out of the house, you're exempt because you just don't want it in the house, but outside in the street, what are you going to do with it? It's not that you need it in the street, you just didn't want it in the house. Comes along Rabbi Bar Bechana and Yosef. They both say, Shimon would agree that you're potter even if your intention was to bury it. Now you have a real function for it. You needed it outside. For some reason, burial is not what you need, it's what the corpse needs. And that's not considered Malacha Tzricha L'Gufa. Depends what the purpose, what the purpose of burial is. If it's for a kapara, for the dead, or if it's so there's no embarrassment, maybe the embarrassment may mean embarrassment for the living, to have a relative outside. But it could be that the removal of embarrassment isn't considered Malacha Tzricha L'Gufa. It's just taking away that there shouldn't be embarrassment. Okay, whatever the case is, Reb Shimon says pater, even if it's to bury. Amar Rav Hamayder Reb Shimon b'mar lachbar by Sefer Torah likros by the Chai. Reb Shimon would agree that if you carry out a hoe, some sort of shovel to dig, or if you carry out a Sefer Torah to read from that Yechai, the Gemara says pshita. The nami malacha shent pshita. That's obvious. If you're going to say that that's not a malacha tzricha l'gufa, I mean, you're carrying simply to read it. I mean, what else? Then what is a malacha tzricha l'gufa? Carrying and you don't want to carrying something that you want to use outside is exactly what a malacha tzricha l'gufa is. If you say that's not a malacha tzricha l'gufa, then how do you interpret what the purpose of carrying is? The Gemara says, Mal the Gemara says, no, I could have thought differently. Ad de'ikal legufayu legufa. I need to carry in a way that I get usage from it, and the item gets usage. The item has a function as well. Kigain. Mar lasis leitas v'lachbai. I carry out the hoe because I want to sharpen it, and I want to dig with it. So now I have a function, I have a reason why it's outside, and the hoe itself has a reason why it's outside. It needs to be sharpened, it's going to be improved. Sefer Torah, lehagia v'likris. Sefer Torah, I'm taking it out because I want to fix the letters, hagia, to correct something in there, and also to read from it. So there's a purpose for the Torah, and there's a purpose for the one that carried it. Kamash malan, that's not necessary. It doesn't need to be a purpose for the item. It's enough it's a purpose just for the person that carried it. But there was a little chiddush there. Amarav Hamayder Reb Shimon, if he carries out a Sefer Torah to read or a hoe to do. Who shechava dahavi b'drukra. B'drukra. There was a corpse that was in Drukra. I guess that's a place. Shara Rav Nachman Yitzchak lafuki lekarmelis. Rav Nachman Yitzchak said you can carry it out into a karmelis. Carry it out of the house. Amli Rabbi Yechanan achvei demar breit to Ravna, the Rav Nachman by Yitzchak. Rabbi Yechanan, the brother of Mar, the son of Ravna, says to Rav Nachman Yitzchak that just gave this heter, this psak, they can take it out of the house. So, come on, Reb Shimon. Asking like Reb Shimon that holds that you're allowed to carry out a corpse, it's malach shein tzrich l'gufa. Even Reb Shimon, maybe he says that you're exempt from bringing an offering, but he's surah derabanan miyeka, but it's still rabbinically prohibited. Amalei, Rav Nachman Yitzchak says, Holy Kim, my God, the Eilis Bayat, you're entering into this discussion, like shocked. I feel the Rabbi Yehuda Shari, even the opposite opinion, Rabbi Yehuda, who holds malach shein tzrich l'gufa is aser. Over here would be permissible. Mi kamino l'shus rabim. Did I say that they can carry it into a public area? L'karbis karmelis kamina. So they can carry it into a karmelis. That'll cover the beer. Respect for human dignity. Can even push off a leisa say, which leisa say? Rabbinic leisa. The rabbinic the license say that says that you have to follow the rabbis. That's what it pushes off. That if there's a corpse in the house, maybe there's a smell that's coming from it, and so you're allowed to take it out into a karmelis for that. So that there's human dignity. Should we continue? Is the minyan at 7? Let me finish to the Mishnah. Let's try to do it. Tanan Hasam, it's taught in the Mishnah. Hatelish simani tuma. Tzaras becomes tamei with 2 hairs inside the spot of leprosy. 2 white hairs. Yellow hairs if it's on different parts of the body, different areas. So if someone removes the hairs, the hikva hamichya, what happens is if in the spot of leprosy there is healthy skin, someone burns that healthy skin. The healthy skin is actually a sign of tumah. If someone burns that healthy skin, so over b'leisa say he violates the negative prohibition that it says you should guard the neged tzaras. You're not allowed to just cut it out. Yeah, one of the Rebbes thought that Yana Machla is tzaras. He held that you weren't allowed to cut it unless it's inside, because tzaras inside isn't tumah. Anyway, itmar, it's a statement. Achas mishnayim. Let's say he pulled out 1 hair from 2 hairs. 2 hairs makes the tumah. He pulls out 1 of them. This chayev. Achas mishalish. Let's say he pulls out 1 of 3. Here he didn't really accomplish what he was trying to make it tar. He pulled out 1, but there's still 2 remaining. Reb Nachman says Yechayev anyway. Sheish Amri is pater. He didn't accomplish. Nachman Amar Chayev. Reb Nachman says Yechayev. Why? Ahani Maisav di Mishtak Lachadachrite Yazal Latama. This is just the start. He's Chayev. Pulled out 1 hair, 1 more hair, and it's already tar. So he made progress. So he's Chayev. Rav Sheish Amar Pater Hashtamiya Hayesal Latama. What do you mean? Made progress. He's still tamei. This is nothing. Amar Rav Sheish Minam Minala. How do I know this? The Tanan started in the Mishnah. Someone carries out tumah into the outside, so he's chayev. Kazayas or chatzi zayas is pater. But if he carries out a half a zayas, then he's exempt. But Tanya chatzi zayas chayev. But I have another brayso that says chatzi zayas is chayev. My love, is it not? When does it say that he's chayev by a chatzi zayas? That's because I had in total a whole zayas. You took out half the zayas. That means there's no tumah left in the house. That means you really did an accomplishment by taking out half the zayas. But the Tan Pater, where does it say that you're pater if you take a chatzi zayas? Chatzi zayas mikazayas umechza. Because they still have a full tumah in the house, so you accomplish nothing by taking out a half the zayas. Nachman says both of them is chayev. When does it say that you're pater? That you took a chatzi zayas from a full corpse, that over there it accomplishes nothing. Okay, let's leave it over here. We'll continue tomorrow.